It's over, bro. No, we wrong for that shit, bro. Please don't. I'm just saying, respect each other. We wrong for that nigga, man. Say, bro, we wrong for that
shit. I'm Mega Man from Chicagoland. I'm sure a lot of you all have heard by now about the senseless murder of Michael Hickman at the scrimmage youth football game. The hands of Yaqub Talib, Aqib Talib's older brother. Aqib Talib is a former NFL football player, played on the Broncos once upon a time, not too long ago. I think he retired in 2020. And since then, he has become a sports announcer on Fox Sports, I believe. But this video from TMZ shows that Aqib was indeed there, and it actually kind of shows him close to the referees, which corroborates some of the witnesses' accounts of what happened there. So I got to give Jason Whitlock a big shout out because he has been very persistent and diligent in covering this story and pretty much covering all bases as far as people who were there and trying to get their stories and get their accounts of what happened. So he did a few interviews with a few of the witnesses from the coaches of the opposing team just to get their side of the story. Here they go.
And so in talking with you and others, the original conflict is really between the North Dallas United coaching staff and the referees.
Yes, that was on referees.
And y'all's coaching staff had nothing to do with that.
No, we weren't even entertaining it. When the game was going on, Talib was on the field, which is illegal for him to be on the field at a 9U game. We kept on telling the refs they wouldn't throw the flag, but he just stayed on the field until this one play when it got close. I think we was up 8-6. So it was 4th and 7, and we called a play top running back named DJ. So DJ ran for like 6 yards, and they stopped him a yard short, but they just kept on tackling him and hitting him. So I'm like, ref, like, let's throw the flag, ref. He was like, y'all stop. The kids wouldn't stop. So he was forced to throw the flag because they kept on trying to tackle the kid, and the play had been blown dead. So when he threw the 15-yard penalty and gave us the first down, Talib went irate. He ran from their side of the field all the way on our sideline, got in the referee face, told the referee, all the punchos, all the sock you such and such down for cheating and being showing favoritism. So that's when I told him, this y'all tournament, how are they showing us favoritism? He told me to shut up, and he went back to fussing with the refs or whatever. So I know him from Little League too, him and his brother. So I didn't think it was no like animosity or hatred towards us. I thought we was alright, but evidently we wasn't.
And so Aqib leaves his sideline and comes over to you all's sideline to yell at the referee.
Yes, he said he was gonna sock him down and referring like punching him, beating him up for a bad call.
And so is it at this point that the referees feel like, hey, we've lost control and they call off the game?
No, the next play we call a trap and to our running back man take it for 60 and score a touchdown. And then that's when he went irate and got in their face and jumping up and down. So we was about to do the 2-point conversion or whatever. So when we was lining up for that, the referee said some more stuff to the referee. So the referee felt threatened and called the ball game, and then he got real mad.
Okay, from what I saw, you know, when the game is over, because the referees, once we were gonna line up for the extra point to leave, the older, the one that played in the league, I don't, you know, their names go, but the one that played in the league, Cleve, he came over there to the referee saying everything besides calling the man a good man, said everything talking to this man or whatever, walked over there to our sideline because the referee he was talking about was on our sideline. So after that, the head ref called the game, said, hey, the game is over with.
Okay, it was a late hit penalty, like you said. Okay, so the play after the late hit penalty, we immediately scored. So after the kid runs the touchdown, we're lining up for the 2-point conversion. I see a kid walking from their sideline approaching, you know, the the side judge, the ref. So when he's approaching the ref, I start walking towards, we're not supposed to be past the 25, but I start walking towards the boys, like towards the line of scrimmage. So he tells the ref, I'm going to sock your B-A, the B word.
You can say it. He said he's going to sock your bitch ass out.
Bitch ass out. His exact words. I ought to sock your bitch ass out. And when he says that, one of their other coaches, their head coach, comes to the field and starts talking. So I go to the white hat and I ask the white hat, I say, hey, ref, do I need to take my boys off the field because it's obvious you can't control the sidelines? And he says, yes, coach, that's the best thing for you to do. So I tell one of their coaches, like, hey, I still want the kids to shake hands. And he was like, yeah, coach, of course. Of course we want the babies to shake hands. So we're walking to the 50, and they're getting their kids and walking to the 50. So I'm actually at the 50 with the kids, on the 50-yard line about to shake hands. And all I hear in the back is someone yell, no.
Handshake as that game comes to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, uh-oh. My dude got a stick. Uh-oh. 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 Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Jesus.
So each coach's account of events seems pretty consistent with each other's. And on top of that, their account of events seems pretty consistent with the video provided by TMZ that I showed at the beginning. It shows that Aqib Talib was nearby the referees, and it did seem like a hostile situation, even before the shooting. But let's say that what they said is true about him pretty much initiating the conflict by swinging at Mike Hickman first. That would essentially mean that he initiated that entire chain of events. And while he didn't pull the trigger, at the very least, he committed an assault by trying to strike this man, or possibly even striking this man. In the video, we see him get swarmed by several people. So it's hard to see exactly who was hitting him, but we know that he was struck at some point because he was pushed to the ground. He was on the ground, and as he got up, Yaqub Talib, for whatever reason, made the very, very rash executive decision, very irrational decision to end this man's life. Absolutely egregiously reprehensible. You might ask yourself, what type of environment could one or would one grow up in for them to think that resorting to violence in such a manner in front of a bunch of kids is normal or is acceptable behavior? Well, let's hear Aqib Talib describe his upbringing, and that might put some of his behavior and his brother's behavior into perspective for you.
Joining us at the beach today is Aqib Talib.
He is a menace. We like this guy. Let's talk to him. Can you explain to somebody who doesn't understand what your life was like before college? Describe it for us.
Well, in a nutshell, we moved to me and my mother. We moved to and my brother. We moved to Texas and to Dallas in 1999. I graduated high school in 2004, and from 1999 to 2004, me and my mother had about 8 houses, eight homes. So that tell you right there, man. It was rough, man. It was financially rough. It was physically rough, So. Man, just being in the position I am right now, man, it's definitely a blessing.
A blessing, but you out here at youth scrimmage games threatening to punch referees in the face. Notice the amount of moving around, though. It's a sign of instability and the obvious single motherhood at play.
How much of your toughness comes from your mother? Because she's not someone to be trifled with, correct?
Oh, definitely not, man. If you went back to where we were from in East Cleveland, man, and you mentioned my mother's name or my grandmother's name around there, for that matter, man, everybody around there probably know her, man. I mean, she's super tough, man.
So notice the typical trope here: the strong single mother. This is what corporate media really wants to promote, especially to the black community, as if this is the norm. But guess what? It is the norm. I believe that over 75% of children born in the black community are born to single mother households. So it is the norm. And even though it's degenerative, this is something that corporate media wants to promote. And they're using Aqib Talib to help promote this degeneracy.
I would check this out, man. One time, Cleveland, Ohio, man. I don't remember how old me and my brother was. So we got to go to school in the morning. You know, my mother come home from work, and it's like kind of like a duplex kind of home. Not like a duplex, but like a hood duplex, you know. Real small home. So my Uncle Larry, he like got his music cranked up so loud, man. So my mom come home, she like, the kids gotta sleep. They gotta go to school. So she arguing with Uncle Larry through the door. So she telling Uncle Larry, don't touch my doorknob. He touched the doorknob. Uh-oh. My mama let him have it through the door. Bam! Touch him in his leg. So he called the police. In 5 minutes, Big Mom was over there. Big Mom told him, I wish you would tell him she shot you. Hey, he just said, all I know is somebody shot me through the door, man. It's hey, the stories get deep. You have to edit out all that.
He didn't know. He suddenly didn't know who shot him through the door.
He don't know who shot him through the door, but it came right out my mama's house. That's what he told the police. Because Big Mom was right there.
Yeah, so
Big
like
Mom
family
played no
shootouts.
games, man.
Yeah, so like family shootouts, they just kind of happen occasionally with you guys.
It might go there, man. Back in that's back in them hood days, man.
Yeah. So like,
Oh no.
You see them laughing at this degeneracy. You see them laughing at this dysfunction. This is a dysfunctional childhood, and they're laughing at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Bomani Jones should really be ashamed of himself, but instead of denouncing the dysfunction, they just laughed at it. So this is the type of environment that one grows up in that leads to behavior like what we saw in the murder of Michael Hickman. That leads to behavior like what we have seen in Aqib Talib's career with the various run-ins he's had with other people, skirmishes, scuffles, all of that. You know, a life of violence, violent tendencies is what comes from these types of households. When you have no father around, or when you're raised in a single mother household, or when you have absentee fatherism at play, just the likelihood of you becoming a criminal, the likelihood of you becoming incarcerated, all of these things increase. This is pretty much the perfect recipe for what we saw in the murder of Michael Hickman. Not to say that Yaqub Talib isn't accountable for his actions as a grown-up, but there's a clear correlation to having a clearly violent mother who just shoots through a door in front of her kids, not knowing what's on the other side of that door besides her brother, but not knowing who else she could have hit. Obviously a violent woman. And this is who raised these men. One of whom brazenly, callously, who cowardly took the life of a man in front of his own kid and a bunch of other kids. So this is the type of figure that corporate media promotes. And I really appreciate Jason Whitlock for really pointing this out in the article that he wrote, which I will leave a link to in the description. And I will leave a link to his video on Fearless, where I got the interviews from, in the description, because you all should really check out the entire show and be sure to check out the article that he wrote, just really showing how much of an agenda is at play to put these street credentialed type characters on corporate media sports programming, really just to promote a certain image. And that image is all fun and games until one of these overgrown toddlers pulls out a gun and shoots a man in front of his child and a bunch of other kids because he never ever learned how to properly resolve conflict. You know, I talk about the culture of violence in the so-called black community a lot, and this is a byproduct of that culture. You know, I can only question and I can only wonder what type of music Aqib Talib listens to, what kind of music Yaqub Talib listens to. What type of music were they listening to when they were on the way to the game that day? You know, I can guarantee it probably wasn't Robert Glasper or Terrence Martin or Christian Scott. It wasn't Beethoven or Mozart. It was probably some violent, degenerative music. And it probably helps solidify and further the psyche that they have of being violent characters, which we see that they obviously are. So let me know what you all think. Till next time, Kwame Man from Chicagoland. Peace and love.